What if consciousness isn't something your brain creates? What if it's everywhere, in every atom, every particle, every fundamental piece of reality? This isn't mysticism, it's panpsychism. A serious theory is gaining traction among philosophers and scientists, a solution to the hardest problem in existence. Science can explain almost everything, except the one thing you're using to hear this sentence: consciousness. We can map every neuron, trace every signal, measure every brainwave, but we still can't explain why it feels like something to be you. Why does red look like red? Why isn't your brain just processing light wavelengths without inner experience? Why does pain hurt? Why does anything appear from the inside at all? In 1995, philosopher David Chalmers gave this mystery a name: the hard problem of consciousness. The easy problems are how brains process information, how they respond to stimuli, how they control behavior. Those are solvable. Break them down. Study the mechanisms. Done. The hard problem is different. How do you get from neurons firing to the felt experience of being alive? How does matter become aware of itself? Every attempt has failed. Materialists say consciousness emerges from complexity, but that doesn't explain the leap from objective processes to subjective experience. You can't explain why complexity feels like something. Dualists say consciousness is separate from matter, a non-physical substance. But then how does it interact with physical brains? Where does it come from? When did it start? Both assume consciousness appears at some point. In humans, maybe some animals, but nowhere else. Panpsychism says consciousness never appears. It was always there. Here's the idea that breaks everything. Consciousness is fundamental, like mass, like charge, like space and time. It doesn't emerge, it doesn't develop, it just is. Every particle in existence has some form of inner experience. Electrons, quarks, photons, all of them. Not human thoughts, not emotions, something far simpler. The faintest whisper of what it is likeness. Your consciousness isn't created by your brain. It's assembled from billions of micro-experiences already present in every atom. British philosopher Philip Goff defends this. He argues it's the only explanation that makes sense. Instead of consciousness magically appearing when matter gets complicated, it's always present. Human awareness is just billions of tiny experiences combined and organized. Think about it. Water has properties that hydrogen and oxygen don't have alone. Wetness, fluidity, those emerge from molecular structure. Same with consciousness. Human experience emerges from organizing simpler forms, not creating something from nothing, combining what's already there. The view sounds insane. So did evolution, relativity, quantum mechanics. Every revolution sounds absurd at first. Now it gets stranger. Panpsychism has two versions. One starts at the bottom. Particles are conscious. Human minds build up from there. The other inverts everything. Cosmopsychism starts at the top. The universe itself is the fundamental consciousness. You're not separate from it. You're a thought within it. Philip Goff champions this version. He says it explains something materialists can't touch: fine-tuning. The constants of physics sit in an impossibly narrow range. Change the strength of gravity by 1 part in 10 billion, and stars can't form. Atoms can't exist. Life becomes impossible. Why? The standard answer? Anthropic principle. We observe a life-permitting universe because we exist. If it weren't life-permitting, we wouldn't be here to ask. That's not an answer. That's avoiding the question. Goff proposes something different. The universe is a conscious agent. It has goals. One goal, creating complexity. Life, self-aware beings like you. The constants are fine-tuned because cosmic consciousness wants them that way. The universe chose to be alive. Neuroscientist Giulio Tononi at the University of Wisconsin proposed a mathematical theory of consciousness in 2004. Integrated Information Theory, IIT. It doesn't call itself panpsychist, but follow the logic. IIT says consciousness equals integrated information. Any system that integrates information above a certain threshold is conscious. Tononi created a measure, phi. It quantifies how integrated a system is. High phi, high consciousness. 0 phi, unconscious. Apply it to brains. High integration, high consciousness. Makes sense, but here's where it breaks everything. Apply it to anything else. A grid of logic gates, a network of transistors. If configured correctly, high phi, therefore conscious. Tononi accepts this, defends it, says it's a strength of the theory. Critics call it pseudoscience. In 2023, dozens of scholars signed a letter condemning EIT as unfalsifiable nonsense. Others defend it. Christoph Koch, David Chalmers. They argue consciousness demands radical theories. The debate rages. But notice what happened. A neuroscientist with impeccable credentials arrived at panpsychism through pure mathematics. Consciousness might exist in places you'd never expect. Panpsychism has a fatal flaw. If electrons have micro-consciousness, how do billions combine to create your unified experience? Right now, you're experiencing one thing, not billions of separate micro-experiences, one seamless whole. How? If you can't answer this, panpsychism fails. You've just moved the mystery down one level. Some panpsychists argue it's no harder than a physical combination. Atoms combine into molecules, molecules into cells. Why can't consciousness combine? Others admit it's mysterious, but still better than materialist alternatives. At least you're combining consciousness with consciousness, not trying to create it from nothing. Cosmopsychism offers a different solution. Don't combine, derive. The universal consciousness is fundamental, already unified, already whole. Your consciousness isn't built from particles, it's borrowed from the universe. A localized pattern, a temporary differentiation within cosmic awareness, like a wave in the ocean. The wave isn't separate. It's the ocean taking a particular form. Your mind isn't constructed from atoms. It's cosmic consciousness experiencing itself through your brain, through your body. Nothing combines. Everything differentiates from the whole. You were never separate. If this is true, everything changes. The distinction between living and non-living disappears. Everything has an experiential quality. The difference is in degree, not kind. A rock has minimal consciousness, barely there, not integrated. Your brain has the same fundamental consciousness, but organized, integrated, amplified into something sophisticated. Ethics collapses. If consciousness is everywhere, where do moral lines fall? Is mining minerals violence? Is using computers exploitation? Panpsychists usually say integration matters. Highly integrated consciousness deserves moral weight. Simple systems don't. But the line becomes gray, gradual, uncomfortable. Science might need a complete revision. Physics describes behavior, mass, charge, spin. But what are these properties? What breathes fire into the equations, as Stephen Hawking asked? Panpsychism answers, consciousness is the fire. The intrinsic nature of physical properties is experiential. Physics describes structure from the outside. Consciousness is what things are like from the inside. This doesn't contradict physics. It says physics is incomplete, describing half of reality, the objective half, missing the subjective entirely. Now, the most disturbing possibility. What if the universe isn't just conscious? What if it's trying to wake up? Cosmopsychism says the universe is one mind. You're a pattern within it. But follow that further. Maybe the universe is evolving, growing more conscious, more self-aware. Through what? Through you. Through every conscious being. Every time complexity increases, the universe becomes more aware of itself. Every new mind is the cosmos gaining another window, another perspective. Life isn't an accident. It's the universe developing organs of self-perception. Your thoughts aren't yours. They're the universe thinking through you. Your consciousness isn't a private experience locked inside your skull. It's the universe experiencing itself. Right now. Through your eyes. Through this moment. And when you die, that pattern dissolves, returns to the cosmic whole. The wave collapses back into the ocean. You don't end, you merge. Can we prove any of this? No, we can't test whether electrons are conscious, can't measure the universe's thoughts. These ideas live at the boundary, where philosophy meets physics, where science ends and speculation begins. But they're serious proposals, from serious thinkers, addressing problems that materialist science hasn't touched. The hard problem remains unsolved. Consciousness defies every conventional explanation. Maybe it requires an unconventional solution. Maybe consciousness is fundamental, woven into the fabric of existence, as basic as space and time. Maybe the universe is aware, in some vast, incomprehensible way, and you're a temporary manifestation, a window through which it sees itself. Or maybe consciousness is exactly what conventional science thinks, an emergent trick, a computational illusion. We don't know, no, but panpsychism offers something valuable, a different lens, a reminder that intuitions about consciousness might be completely backward. We thought Earth was flat. The sun orbited us. Time was absolute. All wrong. Maybe we're wrong about consciousness too. Could the universe think? Panpsychism says yes. Cosmopsychism says you're already part of its thoughts. The theory sounds insane, but insane doesn't mean wrong, just unfamiliar. The hardest problem in existence might demand the strangest solution. We're only beginning to explore these ideas, test them where possible, push them to their limits. Maybe consciousness will stay forever mysterious. The one thing we can't explain because we're trapped inside it. Or maybe we'll crack it, understand how awareness works, or doesn't work, maybe always was. Either way, panpsychism reminds us that reality is stranger than we assume. Subscribe for more material that breaks your brain. Drop a comment. Does this change how you see existence? The universe might be watching. Through you, right now.